Bashir Hashem Asasiyah. Today's subject is about what happened in Simchat Torah and why it happened and how can we stop it. So basically, this is a continuation of what we learned last week. It's about the Chidushim that we said that Chas v'Shalom, if somebody says a Chidush that he didn't learn from his Rabbanim, right? Chas v'Shalom, he's going to cause that. I didn't get to that part, I didn't want to say, but in the Zohar there, in Pasha Bereshit, Daf Chav He, right, talks about that there is a lie, which is the wife of the mate of Samech Mem, who gets a lot of nourishment and power from somebody that said Chidushim that are not correct, right? And they get license to kill a lot of human beings. And that's why it's so important. Person in the end, in the Zohar says over there, about Tumanaichu, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, I beg of you, he was telling to his Talmidim, if you want to say Chidush, make sure you heard it from your rabbis. So Bismanenu, our rabbis are the Rabbanim Chidushim that we have, that they have Pesach Halachah, that they have given us, they teach us how to live, and to make sure that we do not do no nidnut, which means no deviation from Hashem's commandment and the Chachamim. So we have to follow them. And here in your sinut that we're going to talk about, which is this sefer called Moshe Torah, it has a lot of stories and a lot of facts that are here that from different Rabbanim Kedoshim. It tells you that sinut, how important is the sinut. And the problem with somebody that mistakenly follow the halakha of sinut, which means they say this is there's a heter and there's no heter by the chachamim. The problem is become more magnified. Why? Because one is this is like what we just said. It's asur to make a chidushim that are not amitim. And because the Zohar says, because the lion gets a lot of power, and it gets a lot of power, it destroys people, kills people. Then there's another problem is we learn it from the parsha of the Balak, that it says Bilam Harasha says to Balak, he kept saying, I want to destroy Chafeshon, the Klan Yisrael. He says, you don't have no power. The only thing I could tell you, Elohim Eloson Zima, that the Jewish people, their God is very, very despises a woman that beats not sinner. Zima means somebody sleep along with the prostitutes, or zinut, or causing a person look at her. It goes to, it has a big category, right? Zima has a big category under it, which means a woman walking around not sinwa, right? And that it leads to zinut, right? It leads to it. So he says, cause something, right? That they do this, and that's what he did. He went and made these young women in the background selling wine, right? And this Jewish people went and tried to buy wine and they one thing led to another, and they made it with these women, and there was a making fun that if had not was because of the Pinchas, Hashem would have been a big tragedy for the Jewish people. So we see it just right away. When they did that, all these things happened. But on the start, the whole problem was what? Because of the fact that the Jewish people went and looked at these people that women were not sinua, and that's why. So the very important. Women or Jewish sisters, mothers, right, daughters, whatever, they should be extremely sinua, right, and that's a big protection for Klal Yisrael. So I'm gonna so you see what happened is like it's double tragedy. One is a rabbi comes and says the Chas v'Shalom Pal Nochri is mutar. We know that most of the Rabbanim Kedoshim are saying that Spanochri is not mutar, right? It's like as if she's wearing a married woman is walking around with the gilu rosh. It's like she's not covered, head cover. So this is a chidush from Chidush not emetim from on the halacha aspect. So it causes the person causes the Jewish people be without defense from this tragedies. And also the second thing is the chidush, we say that chidushim. One is aspect of being nasinua, which is one tragedy. One aspect of being chadashon being exposed to tragedy, and the other one is being exposed because the chidush that they have given you is not amiti. How could it be a woman walking around with a wig and thinking that she's covering herself, whereas the Sejuhar says that a woman's hair is is the most important part to cover, and they say the woman's hair. The reason it's so important because woman's hair is a woman's beauty. You could look at like somebody could look at the woman that she's bald, maybe she's very extremely pretty, but the fact that she's bald, the man doesn't get attracted to her. So when she looks like a most beautiful woman, but she doesn't, that hair makes her very pretty. So if she's wearing a wig, right, she's not doing anything, she's not covering her hair. And some rabbis or some poskim are saying they are, but most poskim, 99% of poskim that we know, they are against this. Even Rebbe Lubavitch was against it. Even there's a book that has enumerates the number of all of the poskim with Manenu that they were all against it and still are. So the person should be very careful not to follow those few individual rabbanim that they say that this is a heter to it, because this is not the way we do it. We have to do the chidushim that are not amiti, and it's problematic. For Hashem doesn't want a woman walking around attract people's attention, and that those wigs they attract attention, and that's a problem. And here, I'm going to tell a few stories here. There's one story here in here. Is Mamash is like resembles so close to what happened on Simchat Torah, right? And is extremely close. He says in the Yom Kippur, 1973, Yom Kippur War, people all were in shul. They were davening. They were praying to Hashem. Even Chilunim, in Israel, all over the world, even a person who is not religious that much, he goes to shul on Shabbat, on Yom Kippur. Fast. Many people, even they are not religious that much, they say Yom Kippur, I have to fast, and they fast. So it says in that day, the Yom Kippur War broke out. Okay, and unfortunately we had a big tragedy, and many people they became agonot. Many women they lost their husband, and we know the story of they say 900 some people women became agonot of Baminon, and Rabbi Yosef had to deal with them, and most of them he resolved that they are not alive anymore, and he gave them heter to get married again. So the question is, they asked, they were in the army, and this Avrech was working, was fighting for this was Avrech, and this officer of the army comes and says, I don't understand this. How is it possible? It's Yom Kippur. The day that is the most holiest day in the world. All the Amunot are being wiped out. This is the most important day. How is it possible in the world? And this particular day, Dafka in this day, right? Such a tragedy happens, right? The Syrian attack, Egypt attack. I think there were Jordan attack. There was a big one, surprise attack. So, he says, I know the reason is because women were not Sinwa.
On Yom Kippur?
The fact that women were not Sinwa throughout the years, then it accumulated this whole sins that became accumulated. Nobody wanted to do anything about it, right? And Hashem had to basically let out this war that they're going, right, to be able to break through. They were able to break through on Yom Kippur, right? And they came in and they killed, and it was very Jewish people were in a big danger that year, 1973. It was they were big danger, and Baruch Hashem had Rahmad on us, and we were saved miraculously. So he says, why this happened? Why all this happened? He says because the women were not sinua. So he says, if they were not sinua, right? The officer asked the second question, which is a very, very wise question. So if they were not sinua, so why the men will get killed? Should the women should get killed? What is the fault of men? Why the soldiers get killed? So that's the question. So he says, I don't have an answer to this. I'm going to ask Rav Shach.
Oh.
So he went and asked Rav Shach, and Rav Shach says to him, your answer about why this whole thing happened, because Rav Shach was one of the Gedolei Torah, says it's exactly what you answered. It was a very correct answer. The whole reason they were able to break through were because of the women were not sinua. So he says, so if that's the case, okay, I accept that. So what's the second answer? How would I answer the second question? He said because of the fact that the husband or the fathers, they knew about the women, the wife or the daughters are not doing this properly, and they didn't protest, they didn't make any kind of recommendation to make a change, right? They got as if they were a responsible party, and that's why Hashem took his wrath on them more than the women. So from here we learn that Chazal said that a person should be very careful to tell his wife, his daughters, that they should wear sinua, and it's extremely important concept that a person should always exercise at his home, right? Shouldn't say because well, I don't care, my God, it's their life. You are the family, the head of family, the father, the husband. So there's a role. The father and husband have a role. They have to educate the daughters to do this properly, and they say that's one of the reasons. So this is one of the things that is very, very disturbing, because Baruch Hashem, there are people that we have to educate everybody that they should know that the reason, the whole foundation of Jewish people are women. The cornerstone of the family. I mean, we call we say the women are aked abayit, right? They are the main foundation of the family. The husband goes out of the home, right?
Yeah.
Who takes care of the family? The woman. If she's not keeping it, it's all go up the air. Nobody is able to. The family doesn't grow spiritually in the way it's supposed to be. So there's another thing that I think is important to talk about. So that it also is same line of here about. So the sinur is very important. I'm just going to say some other information that is in this book, that in the time of Chazon Ish, they were trying to draft women as a soldier. So when they heard it, they got very extremely upset. And Chazon Ish was crying, telling them, a woman, the daughter of Jewish people, the place is not going to army. Going to army is not a place for them to go. And what do they do? He says the Chachamim made a Pesach Halacha that the woman should get killed and don't go to the army. And unfortunately, right now we have this issue in Israel. They say, unfortunately, I was listening to it. I was first could not believe my eye, but they said there are more women right now, Bismaneno, they are in army than ever, Jewish army than ever before.
Wow.
And this is a problem. And this is the draft. There was a time they had a draft. They wanted to draft all the Jewish girls. They don't do it now. It's a voluntarily. Many Jewish girls are going to the army. They are volunteering to go there, and he says that's a problem because those women, most of those girls will not come out of their. They're gonna be hurt somewhere by going there. So it's very important for if the girls in Israel, if they can get out of the army, it's gonna be a big blessing for Jewish people. So this is because here it says. Chazanish was able to stop this, but he said they did what's called Hafganot. They did a parade. They made a protest, and finally the Israeli government stopped this whole concept of drafting of the Jewish girls. Unfortunately, some girls are right now going, and that's a problem. We hope that they change their mind and they stop going to this army, and as we know from the Chazal, right? In a time of Shoftim, few hundred people they will go fight against a big army and they will come out winners. They will overcome winners. Hashem would make them do them miracle after miracle. So we should not. We don't. The women are not. Their place is not in the army. A woman should not be there. Hakadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want women be in the army, and let the men take over. And Baruch Hashem, we have Hakadosh Baruch Hu that is always watching for us, and we don't need to worry about that part. Then there is a story here that I'm just going to say some of the stories here that are related that a person should know. They said the Chofetz Chaim in the last year of his life on Kol Nidre, he was crying and begging and giving a long speech. And what was his speech all about? It was like before the World War II, right? World War II, before the Yimach Shemo Hitler came about and did all those programs. Chofetz Chaim, the last year of his life, he says, please, I beg of everybody, please make sure that you keep Tzniut, because not only outside but also at home, you should be, all the girls should be Tzniut. And then one thing he says here that is people should know this from Chofetz Chaim. He says if a person is not, a woman is not Tzniut, דבר הזה מזיק לרוחניות של אישה עצמה. It hurts the person, a woman. Like the רוחניות של woman, spirituality of a woman gets damaged, right? By not being Tzniut. Which makes sense, but like people that they say, they try to, if you women that they are wearing wigs, married women, they know that by it's not just a machloket here, or I want to take side here or there, with this rabbi or the other rabbi, I want to hate her. It's more than that, because if she, which most of the poskim are saying, a married woman wearing wig is considered not Tzniut, right? Then she's, by wearing it every second, right? She is making ruchnut shel isha, okay? And he said it will take away all the shamayim that she could have had. That's what he said. It takes away the other. So we have to be very careful about that. And he says that year on that Yom Kippur, right? Well, also this is Yom Kippur, but his word will making effect, and people will listen to it. And I finished this final story. There was a woman passed away, and we have a Rabbi Yehoshua Lev Diskin. He was one of the big rabbanim, right? He was the rabbi of Rab Chaim Zanenfeld, one of the big Gedolei Yerushalayim, and he was an Ashkenazi Rav. And one time this woman passed away, and he got up and went to the Levaya. Usually he wouldn't do it. They were very all surprised. How come this Chashuv Rav, that is every second is very important? How come he went to this Levaya for this woman? and they were trying to figure it out. They couldn't figure it out, and they finally said I think they asked Arab fan, right? What is this whole? They said maybe because the woman was taking care of her husband very much, was doing a message nefesh for the children, and for the husband, for all these things. Maybe because of all these things, the Rav, this can the son is giving her such a big respect. They said it's none of that. So they said, so what could be? He said she was very, very careful when the people would come. It was this woman was very careful whenever people would come from the out of country to Yerushalayim, right? If they were wearing wigs, she would talk to them and nudge them and try to convince them that the wig is not senua. And by doing that, many of the Rabbanim that the wives they came and they were wearing wigs, they changed their mind and they took off their wigs. And he said because of that, here, Rabbi Chaim Zalman revealed the secret. Because of that, because of this whole concept, right? Hakadosh Baruch Hu was very happy with him, and I read it from his side. This says Rabbi Chaim Zalman says, השקיע הרבה כוחו, השקיע הרבה כוחו ועמד בעניין זה להשפיע על נשי ישראל שעלו מחוץ לארץ להשתגע בירושלים, להסיר את הפאה הנוכחית מעל ראשם. Right? ולחסות את ראש בלטוף הראוי כמנהג נשות ירושלים. So and המלאך נשא פלא, that she, כי דברה היה ליוצא מלב, מעשה, right? So this is, she was able to cause, influence a lot of women to get convinced that the Panochri is not a Kisur Rosh and it's not accepted by Jewish religion, and they were accepted. They listened to her, and because of that, she had such a kedusha and such a madriga that her Rabbi Harav Yehoshua Lev Diskin escorted her to the Levaya because of her extreme piousness. So may our sisters, mothers, daughters learn from this woman, and they should act accordingly, because they say the same fact that Jewish people were saved from the time of Egypt because of nation Satkoniot. May Hashem also release us and bring the redemption through the nation Satkoniot, because that's what the Chazal said. May women be the source of this redemption, and they will try to be all their might, especially in this time that we are living in a country that there are many disaster pursuit. May they do Mesed Nefesh, that they will be able to keep Kseniot, and that would help them they will help the whole Klal Israel to have a Geulah B'Karov. Amen.
Amen.